Emma stepped into her parents' house just as the smell of dinner filled the air. She came to pick up her 2 children after work, tired but happy to see them. Then she froze. From the hallway she heard her mother's sharp voice say, "The other children eat first. Mine can wait for what's left." Emma's heart sank. Through the open doorway, she saw her niece and nephew laughing at the dining table with plates full of spaghetti, while her own children, Noah and Liam, sat quietly on the floor beside the kitchen door, staring at empty dishes. "Get used to it," her sister Anna said coldly. "You were born for leftovers." Their grandfather nodded from his chair. "They should learn their place." The words stung like fire. Emma didn't speak. She walked in calmly, knelt beside her boys and said softly, "Come on, let's go home." They stood up slowly, their little hands clutching hers as she led them out of the house in silence. That night, Emma sat in her car outside her apartment, still holding the steering wheel long after the engine stopped. Her sons were asleep in the back seat, their faces peaceful but tired. She could still hear her family's voices in her head. Learn their place. Born for leftovers. How could people who shared her blood talk about her children like that? As tears blurred her vision, Emma whispered, "Not my boys. Not anymore." She wiped her face, took a deep breath, and whispered a promise into the quiet night. "You'll never feel small again. Not while I'm your mother." The next morning, as sunlight poured through the curtains, Emma made pancakes for the boys. "Mommy, can we go back to Grandma's soon?" Noah asked innocently. Her chest tightened. "Not for a while, sweetheart," she said gently. "Why?" Liam asked, frowning. "Because Grandma and Grandpa need some time to think about how to treat people kindly." The boys looked at each other, confused but accepting. When Marcus, Emma's husband, came in with his coffee, she finally told him everything. "I walked in and Mom was saying my boys should wait for scraps," she said, voice trembling. Marcus put his cup down slowly. "They said that. Every word." He looked toward the boys playing with their toys and then back at her. "Then it's time we stopped pretending they care." Over the next few days, Emma tried to go on with life as usual, but her mind wouldn't rest. Every time she packed school lunches or tucked her boys into bed, she saw that scene again. Her children sitting quietly on the floor, watching others eat. Her family had crossed a line she could never ignore. But what hurt most was knowing she had spent years helping them, paying bills, covering car repairs, sending money whenever they called. She had been their solution for everything, believing it was love. Marcus had warned her before. "Emma, when was the last time they helped you with anything?" But she always defended them. "They love me. They just show it differently." Now she wasn't so sure. One afternoon, while organizing her finances, Emma decided to check exactly how much she had sent to her family. The numbers shocked her. Year after year, transfers, payments, and emergencies that somehow always fell near her payday. She sat back in disbelief. "They've been living off us," she whispered. Marcus came over and looked at the screen. "How bad is it?" "Almost 40,000 in the past 3 years, she said quietly. "And that's just what I can see." Marcus placed a hand on her shoulder. "Then it's time to protect our own family." Emma nodded slowly, determination replacing pain. "They treated my children like they were nothing. Now they'll see what happens when the one they depend on finally stops giving." That evening, Emma sat at the dining table with her laptop open and a notebook beside it. The sound of Marcus reading bedtime stories drifted from the next room. For years she had been her family's safety net, the one who always said yes. But now she was seeing the full picture for the first time. The pattern was clear. Every bonus she earned brought a new emergency. Her parents' leaking roof, Anna's broken car, her father's dental bills. Each plea had come wrapped in guilt. "You're the only one we can count on," they would say, and she always gave in. "Not anymore," Emma whispered, closing the laptop. "If they can't see the worth of my children, they don't deserve my help." The next morning her phone rang. It was her mother. "Emma, dear, I've been thinking about yesterday. Maybe you misunderstood." Emma's grip tightened on the phone. "Did I?" Because I heard every word. We didn't mean anything bad. You know how your father speaks sometimes. Mom, Emma said calmly, you said my kids should expect leftovers. How exactly does someone say that without meaning something bad? Silence stretched on the line. We love those boys, her mother said finally. We just have to be realistic about how people see things. Then maybe you need new people, Emma replied coldly and hung up. She stared at the silent phone for a long moment, feeling the first real spark of peace she'd had in months. Marcus joined her at the kitchen table a few minutes later. That was your mom, he asked. She nodded. She said I misunderstood them. Marcus gave a humorless laugh. Classic. She thinks I'll forget about it if they act nice for a while. Will you? Emma looked at him seriously. No. This time I'm going to make them face the truth. Marcus leaned back, folding his arms. What does that mean? It means I'm done letting them use me. I'm cutting every single payment. He smiled, proud but cautious. That's a big step. It's the only way they'll ever learn that my love isn't for sale. 2 days later, Emma drove to her parents' house, parking quietly a few houses away. She had told them she might stop by to apologize for overreacting, but her real plan was to hear what they said when she wasn't in the room. As she slipped through the back door, voices floated from the kitchen. She'll calm down, her father said confidently. She always does. Anna laughed. Yeah, give her a week. She'll be back with her checkbook. She's soft-hearted, her mother added. We just have to let her feel guilty a bit longer. Emma stood frozen in the hallway, heart pounding. Then she heard the words that broke her completely. Her mother's voice was cold. The truth is, Anna's kids eat first. That's just how it should be. Emma's boys. Well, they'll learn to take what's left. Emma's breath caught in her throat. Her own mother's words felt like knives. She stepped into the kitchen, and all three of them went silent. Emma, her mother said with a nervous smile. You're early. I heard everything, Emma said quietly. Every word. Her father stood up quickly. Now, hold on, you're taking things out of context. Really, she said, her voice steady but icy. What context makes it okay to tell my children they were born for scraps? Her sister looked away and her mother stammered. You don't understand, it's just social realities. No, Emma cut in. It's cruelty. And I'm done. She turned toward the door, pausing only once. You always said family helps each other. From now on, help yourselves. Then she walked out, leaving 3 speechless faces behind her. Back home, Emma sat quietly beside Marcus on the couch. The silence between them was heavy but full of understanding. You did it, didn't you? Marcus said softly. Emma nodded. I heard them. Every single word. They said my boys were born to take leftovers. Marcus exhaled slowly. So what now? Now I stop being their provider. She opened her laptop again, determination burning in her eyes. I'm ending every payment, every transfer, everything that ties them to our bank account. Marcus leaned closer. You're sure? I've never been more sure of anything. It's time they feel what it's like to stand on their own. That night, she stayed up past midnight reviewing bank records. Line after line of transactions told the same story. Years of manipulation disguised as love. Her parents' mortgage help, her sister's car repairs, medical bills, home maintenance, endless emergencies. Each one felt heavier than the last. They built their lives around me, she whispered to herself. The next morning, she called her accountant. I need a full record of every transfer to my family in the past 8 years. The woman on the other end sounded surprised. That's a long time, Emma. Are you planning to file a claim? No, Emma said. I'm planning to end a cycle. When the report came back, the number stunned her. Over $120,000. She stared at the total, her mouth dry. Marcus walked in, coffee in hand. What's wrong? She turned the screen toward him. That's how much I've given them. He frowned. That's a house, Emma. She nodded slowly. A house, college funds, vacations we never took. Marcus set his cup down. They've been living on your kindness. It's time they live on their own choices. She smiled faintly. Exactly. I'm taking my kindness back. By the end of the week, Emma had cut off every automatic payment linked to her family. Mortgage aid, car insurance, even the monthly emergency allowance, all gone. The next call came quickly. Emma, her father said sharply, there's a problem with the bank transfer. It didn't go through this month. It's not a problem, she replied calmly. I cancelled it. What? Why? Because I'm no longer funding people who think my children are less than others. Emma, don't be dramatic, he snapped. We didn't mean it that way. Then maybe you should start meaning better things. She hung up before he could respond. Not long after, her sister called, her voice trembling between anger and panic. Emma, Dad says you cancelled everything. Are you crazy? How are we supposed to pay the bills? You mean the bills I've been paying for years? Emma asked coolly. Those ones. You can't just pull the plug like this. We depend on you. That's the problem, Anna. You shouldn't. So this is about your kids. You're punishing us for something Mom said. No, Emma said softly. I'm protecting my children from people who think they're worth less than yours. The silence that followed said more than words ever could. Days turned into weeks, and the phone calls kept coming. First angry, then desperate. Her parents claimed confusion, her sister begged for understanding, but Emma stood firm. Each time her phone rang, she reminded herself of her children's faces that night in the kitchen, the quiet hurt in Noah's eyes, the confusion on little Liam's face. That image was all the strength she needed. When Marcus asked how she was holding up, she smiled faintly. It's strange, she said. I thought I'd feel guilty. But I don't. I feel free. A few weeks later, her father showed up at her doorstep. He looked smaller somehow, weighed down by stress. We need to talk, he said. Marcus stayed close behind her, silent but protective. You've made your point, her father continued. We said some hurtful things, but destroying our financial stability isn't the answer. Emma folded her arms. I'm not destroying anything. I'm just refusing to pay for disrespect. We've apologized, he said quickly. No, Dad. You tried to explain it away. That's not the same as saying sorry. His eyes flickered with shame, but still, pride kept his mouth closed. That night, Marcus asked quietly, Do you think they'll ever change? Emma thought about it for a long moment. I don't know, she said. But I know this. I won't go back to being the daughter who buys their love. Marcus nodded. Then you've already won. He kissed her forehead and whispered, You did the right thing. Emma smiled faintly. Maybe now they'll learn that my worth isn't tied to their comfort. She turned off her phone that night and slept soundly for the first time in years. 3 weeks later, news reached her that her parents had sold their house. Anna had picked up a second job. The comfortable life they'd built on Emma's money was collapsing. When her mother finally called, her tone was no longer sharp or entitled. It was quiet. Emma, we're struggling. We made mistakes, I know that. But we're family. Family doesn't make children feel unwanted, Mom. I know, her mother whispered. We're trying to understand. Then start by seeing Noah and Liam for who they are. Your grandsons, not your embarrassment. There was silence, then her mother's shaky voice said, Can we try again someday? Emma sighed softly. Maybe. When you stop trying to buy forgiveness. Months passed, and slowly things began to shift. One Sunday afternoon, Marcus returned home from a coffee meeting looking thoughtful. That was your dad? Emma asked. He nodded. He apologized, Marcus said simply. For real this time. He said he was wrong about us, about the boys, about everything. Emma stared at him, unsure what to feel. Do you believe him? I think he's finally realizing what mattered most. That night, Emma sat with her boys at dinner. Noah laughed as Liam spilled juice, and for the first time in a long while, she felt peace. She had lost her parents' house, their approval, their comfort, but she had gained something stronger: her children's dignity and her own voice. The next weekend, Emma received an unexpected text from her mother. "We'd like to see the boys. No pressure. Just lunch somewhere public." She showed the message to Marcus. "Do you think they're serious?" she asked. "Maybe," he said quietly. "Or maybe they just miss having control." Emma considered it for a while, then finally replied, "If we meet, it'll be somewhere neutral. No talk about money. Just family." Her mother responded quickly. "Understood." It was the first time she had ever written back without mentioning bills or expenses. That alone felt like a small victory. They met the following Sunday at a small cafe downtown. Emma arrived early with Noah and Liam, nervous but composed. When her parents walked in, they looked older, not just from age but from the weight of humility. "Emma," her mother said softly, "thank you for coming." "I came for my children," Emma replied. Her father nodded awkwardly. "They've grown," he said, looking at the boys. Noah gave a small wave, while Liam clung to Emma's arm. "Hi, Grandpa," Noah said shyly. Her father's eyes softened. "Hey, buddy." It wasn't much, but it was a start. Lunch was quiet at first, filled with small talk about school, soccer games, and the weather. But as the meal went on, Emma noticed something different. Her parents were actually listening. They asked about the boys' friends, their favorite cartoons, their hobbies. For the first time in years, they weren't talking about themselves. When Noah excitedly showed his latest art drawing, her mother smiled and said, "That's beautiful, sweetheart." The simple kindness almost made Emma tear up. It was awkward, imperfect, but real. After lunch, Emma's father cleared his throat. "I know we've said things we can't take back," he began. "We thought we were being practical. We weren't. We were being cruel." Emma blinked, caught off guard. "Dad." "Let me finish," he said gently. "I grew up believing certain things about people who were different. I never questioned them. But then I looked at those boys, and I realized I'd been wrong my whole life." His voice broke slightly. "They're my grandsons. They deserve better from me." For a long moment no one spoke. Even Marcus, sitting quietly beside Emma, had tears in his eyes. Her mother nodded slowly. "We lost our way," she said softly. "We cared more about appearances than people. And when you stopped helping us, we finally saw who we'd become." Emma looked at her, truly looked, and saw the exhaustion, the regret, the fragile hope. "I don't need your apologies," Emma said finally. "I just need you to show them you care. Not me, them." Her mother nodded again. "We'll earn it," she said. "Whatever it takes." It was the first time Emma believed she meant it. Weeks later, her parents began visiting on Saturdays. They'd bring small things: coloring books, soccer balls, snacks, nothing expensive but meaningful. First, the boys were shy. They remembered the hurt, the separation, the unspoken rejection. But slowly, trust began to grow. One afternoon, Emma peeked through the window and saw her father teaching Noah how to kick a soccer ball while Liam laughed nearby. The sight brought tears to her eyes. Marcus slipped his arm around her. "You see that?" he whispered. "That's what healing looks like." Emma's sister Anna was slower to change. For months she refused to visit, angry that Emma had ruined everything. But one day she called. "I'm sorry," she said simply. Emma was silent. "I didn't realize how deep my words cut until my own kids started asking why they never see their cousins anymore. I told them it was complicated, but the truth is, I was jealous. You worked hard, and I just took advantage." Emma exhaled softly. "Jealousy doesn't excuse cruelty, Anna. I know. I just want to make things right." Emma paused, then said, "Then start with your heart, not your mouth." A month later, Anna showed up with her children. The reunion was quiet but warm. The cousins stared at each other for a few seconds before Noah smiled and said, "Wanna play?" The tension dissolved. The 4 kids ran off laughing, and for the first time in almost a year, the house was filled with the sound of family again. Real family, not the kind bound by guilt or money, but by forgiveness. Anna sat beside Emma on the couch. "They look happy," she said quietly. Emma nodded. "They are. It's all I ever wanted." That night, after everyone had left, Emma sat on the porch watching the sunset. Marcus joined her, handing her a cup of tea. "You did it," he said softly. "No, we did it," she replied. "We protected our boys, and we made them see their worth." "Do you ever think about the house they lost? The life they had?" Marcus asked. Emma thought for a moment. "Sometimes. But losing comfort was the only way they could find compassion. If it took all that for them to see our children as equals, then it was worth it." Months passed, and peace became their new normal. Emma's parents never asked for money again. They didn't need to. They had finally learned to live within their means, and within their humanity. Every Sunday they met for family lunch, each person paying their own way. There were no speeches, no grand gestures, just quiet effort and genuine care. One evening, as Emma tucked Noah and Liam into bed, Noah asked softly, "Mom, are Grandma and Grandpa good now?" Emma smiled. "They're learning," she said. "And sometimes learning is the best kind of good." She kissed their foreheads, turned off the light, and whispered to herself, "We're finally free." As months rolled into a year, the wounds began to fade, replaced by quiet understanding. Emma's parents had downsized to a modest apartment across town. It wasn't the grand house they once flaunted, but it had warmth, the kind that comes from humility. On Saturdays they'd pick up Noah and Liam for simple outings. The park, ice cream shops, movie nights at home. "Grandpa's apartment smells like cookies," Liam told Emma one evening, grinning. She smiled softly. "That's how you know he's trying." Marcus chuckled. Who knew losing everything would help them find themselves? One Sunday, during lunch at a small diner, Emma's mother looked up from her plate and said, "You know, I used to think family meant taking care of each other financially. But I see now it means something else. Being there emotionally." Emma looked at her, surprised. "That's a big change coming from you." Her mother smiled faintly. "Pain changes people, dear. Losing your help forced us to look in the mirror." Her father nodded. "We had to learn that respect isn't given because of age. It's earned through love." Emma felt a lump in her throat. "That's all I ever wanted." Later that afternoon, while the boys played outside, Emma and Marcus sat quietly watching them. The sun painted everything gold. "Do you think they'll remember this year?" Marcus asked softly. "Maybe not the details," Emma replied. "But they'll remember the feeling that we protected them, that we chose them." Marcus smiled. "And they'll remember their moms standing up for them when it mattered." She leaned her head on his shoulder. "That's the lesson I want them to carry. Never let anyone make you feel less than you are, not even family." Around the holidays, her father called with an idea. "We want to host Christmas this year," he said. "At our place." Emma hesitated. "Are you sure?" "Yes," he said firmly. "We'll handle everything." When the day came, she walked into their small apartment to find the table set for everyone. 4 children, 2 couples, 1 new beginning. There were no fancy decorations, no expensive dishes, just warmth. "We made everyone's favorite food," her mother announced proudly. "Even the spaghetti," she added, smiling at Noah and Liam. The boys grinned. For the first time they all ate together. No separation, no silence, just laughter and second helpings for everyone. After dinner, her father raised a small glass of juice. "To family," he said simply. "Not the kind that takes, but the kind that learns, forgives and grows." Everyone clinked their glasses. Emma felt tears sting her eyes, but they were happy tears. Anna reached across the table and squeezed her hand. "Thank you," she whispered, "for standing your ground." Emma nodded, her voice soft. "Sometimes the hardest thing you can do for family is tell them the truth." Her father nodded slowly. "And sometimes the best thing family can do is listen." That night, after the boys were asleep, Emma stepped onto her parents' small balcony. The city lights shimmered below, quiet and peaceful. Her mother joined her, holding 2 mugs of tea. "You know," she said, "when you cut us off, I thought you hated us." Emma turned to her. "I never hated you. I just couldn't let you hurt my children anymore." Her mother's eyes filled with tears. "I know that now. You were teaching us, not punishing us." Emma smiled sadly. "I was teaching you what love really looks like." By spring, things had settled into a beautiful rhythm. Family dinners, honest talks, shared laughter. All the things they'd missed for years. Emma noticed that her parents no longer avoided Marcus. Her father even invited him to watch a soccer game together. When Marcus returned that night, he looked surprised. "He apologized again," he said quietly. "He said he used to see me as different, but now he just sees me as his son-in-law." Emma smiled warmly. "Progress looks good on them." Marcus grinned. "It looks even better on you." One evening, Emma sat recording a short message for her online storytelling audience. "Hi everyone," she said softly into the camera. "Some of you asked what happened after I walked out that day. The truth is, it wasn't easy. But sometimes love means setting boundaries. Sometimes it means walking away until people understand your worth." She smiled faintly. "My family lost their comfort, but they found their conscience. And my children, they learned that they never have to accept less than full love and respect." She paused, her voice tender. "That's a lesson worth everything." After posting the video, comments flooded in from all over the world. People sharing their own experiences, their own stories of standing up for their children. Emma read through them quietly that night, tears welling in her eyes. "You're helping more people than you realize," Marcus said, glancing over her shoulder. She looked at him and smiled. "I just wanted to turn pain into purpose. Maybe that's how healing starts, when we share our story." He kissed her forehead. "You didn't just heal your family, Emma. You helped heal others too." One bright Saturday morning, Emma woke to laughter in the living room. She peeked through the door to see her parents on the floor, building Lego towers with Noah and Liam. The sight filled her with quiet joy. Years ago, those same children had been made to sit on the floor while others ate. Now they laughed on the same floor, not in shame but in love. Emma leaned against the doorway, smiling as her mother looked up and said, "Come join us." Emma walked over, sat down beside her family and whispered, This is what I prayed for." And for the first time in her life, her prayer had truly come true.